You don't have to sacrifice comfort for retirement travel on a budget, and you totally don't have to break the bank. In this video, I'll share 21 tips on how to get the most out of your money and still have an amazing adventure. In case you're new, I'm Cyn Meyer, founder of Second Wind Movement, which is a resource for older adults who want to turn their retirement years into their best years through their purpose and passions. And for a lot of people, a big part of living your best retirement life includes travel. If you have a lot of ground to cover, you can do it without breaking the bank. Our first retirement travel budget tip is number 1, book in advance. Seems like a no-brainer, but it's definitely a worthwhile one that can make the biggest difference, so it made it to the top of our list. Booking ahead of time can save you 61% on airfare. And if you're willing to try an app, Hopper lets you watch bookings and even tells you the best time to book your desired flight and hotel date. By the way, booking in advance can also save you a few bucks on hotels too, saving anywhere from $6 to $21 on average a night on hotel bookings. But the main thing is the flight savings. Tip number 2 is know how to pay. When you decide to travel outside the country, first notify your bank to prevent any alerts or freezes. And second, do some research and find out what additional costs you may have for withdrawing cash or paying by card. Sometimes it's better to carry cash and sometimes it's more cost effective to use ATMs. Another way to avoid paying extra fees is to plan your currency exchanges ahead of time. So it's worth doing your homework before leaving for any trip to slim down on these extra bank fees. Travel tip number 3 is to pack light and only bring what's necessary, especially if you're traveling by plane. We all love a good set of options, but I'm sure you've had that experience where you overpacked on a trip where you didn't use like half the items you stuffed into your suitcase. Excess baggage fees can cost you anywhere from $20 to $200, so try to pack the essentials only. Aside from avoiding additional baggage fees, traveling with carry-on only means you don't have to wait in line with the baggage claim, there's no lost luggage, there's less to carry around, and you know where your stuff is. Speaking of knowing where your stuff is, tip number 4 is to pack your own snacks when possible. Food makes up about 16% of your budget, so there's plenty of room for savings here. In fact, when Americans vacation, they spend $378 on food in restaurants compared to only $42 on the food that they prepare themselves. So definitely something to consider. Another budget travel tip is to, number 5, get creative with transportation. If you plan ahead, you may be able to steer clear of the priciest ground transportation, like taxis and Uber. It's worth looking into other forms of transportation like public transportation. Buses, metros, and trains, those are often the cheapest types of transportation available. Carpooling services, if you're traveling long distance, consider using apps like BlaBlaCar or Move It to cut down on costs. Renting bikes, you can keep fit, have fun, and save money by cycling around town. And of course, walking if it makes sense, which is the cheapest and best way to soak up any new area that's pedestrian friendly. Tip number 6 is to take advantage of free attractions. There are plenty of free attractions and activities that can make your adventures more affordable. From museums to zoos, trails and parks, historic sites, and everything in between. Every destination has free attractions that you can enjoy. Number 7 is to straight up look for deals. A great way to get more bang for your buck, from senior discounts to vacation packages, you can find deals somewhere, especially on the internet, like Skyscanner, Kayak, Groupon, Booking, and World Nomads. Number 8 is to visit friends or family on your trips, which is not just a fun travel plan, but sometimes you can rely on accommodation from your friends or family if it makes sense. In fact, older tourists visit relatives and friends more often than younger generations. Retirement travel tip number 9 is to bring reusables. Consider taking a water bottle or a coffee thermos with you on your next adventure. It's good for Mother Earth to reuse, and you taking your own water bottle means you can get free drinks from fountains, cafes, or mountain springs, depending on where you're going, and having a coffee cup often gets you discounts. So it's a great way to stick to your budget, stay hydrated, and travel more sustainably. Number 10 is to make a list of travel priorities. When you retire, your world is your oyster. You have all this time to travel and explore new places, right? Well, sort of. There are some things that you might want to put higher on your priority list than others when planning a budget-friendly retirement trip. For instance, retirement travel on a budget likely won't include splurging on 5-star hotels and souvenirs, but it could include one of the two. So clearly laying out your travel priorities can help you organize your plans for your next trips and really crystallize your travel budgets. Tip number 11 is a fun one. Consider finding volunteer opportunities abroad in exchange for free room and board. Some even offer covered expenses like transportation. Another great option is to learn abroad. Educational travel programs like Road Scholar let you explore the world while learning. Tip number 12 is to use travel rewards. Why not join the 43% of older adults over 65 who are participating in a travel loyalty program? It may be worth getting a travel rewards credit card to enjoy benefits like booking your flights or accommodations and attractions. Some of the best US travel reward programs are Wyndham Rewards, World of Hyatt, Mileage Plan from Alaska Airlines, Delta Skylines, and maybe some other airlines to consider. 13, travel overnight. You may be able to save on a train or a bus ticket by choosing an overnight route since they're less popular than flights. For example, traveling from LA to San Francisco, the average overnight bus ticket is $8.74, compared to the average plane ticket that goes for $99.69. An added bonus is that you'll pinch some pennies on accommodation as well, since you'll be spending the night traveling. Granted, it won't be the most comfortable sleep ever, but it can be well worth the money if you're up for it. Retirement budget travel tip number 14 is to straight up find inexpensive destinations, which will bring your overall costs down after arriving. Luckily, there are plenty of affordable destinations where you can travel on a dime and still really enjoy yourself. So just research destinations in advance to calculate potential costs. Even better, destinations that are less touristy allow you to really immerse yourself in a culture, which doubles as a great way to have adventurous growth experiences and to step out of your comfort zone. Tip number 15 is to explore group travel. If you're looking for a fun, social, and affordable way to travel, you might want to consider joining other seniors on a group tour. Some groups to consider are AARP tours, Evergreen Club, and vacations by rail. Tip number 16 is to consider work and travel. If you're someone who wants to travel for free and get paid, it's worth exploring some work travel options, like being a tour guide, teaching English abroad, or volunteering for the Peace Corps or a similar organization. Another option is to become a travel blogger. You can often get comped travel arrangements by covering certain travel destinations. This is definitely an area where you can get creative and explore different ways of helping others, working and traveling without spending too much of your budget, especially if it's something that you're passionate about. Number 17, for people who plan to be away from their homes for extended periods, and if all the pieces fall into place, you can rent out your home. Depending on your lifestyle, you can choose between purchasing a vacation home or a more traditional rental property. Your rental income serves as a passive income source that you can use to cover your travel expenses. Number 18, another win-win is to travel during a shoulder season. When a destination is considered off-season, not only is everything cheaper, but it's also the best time to see a destination without all those tourists. If this sounds up your alley, try to avoid local school breaks and religious celebrations because obviously those are the prime times that attract crowds and they also raise the prices. Case in point, a flight to Hawaii from California during the winter months can run as low as $189, as opposed to the same flight in peak summer months that go for around $558, a big difference. The same goes for lodging and other travel expenses once you've arrived at your destination. So off-season travel means you'll get cheaper flights, hotels, and ultimately more out of your trip. Number 19. This one might sound strange, but consider going for longer trips. Getting there is basically half of your budget. On average, 44% of travel funds are spent on transportation. And in case you're curious about a reference point, the average cost breakdown per trip is around $144 per day for domestic trips and $271 for international travel. Even though it might not seem like it, you actually save money by staying on vacation for longer because your cost per day goes down. You start to see these cost benefits by at least the 2 to 3 week mark. Number 20 is a technical travel tip, which is good for extended periods. Get a local SIM card for your mobile phone. Using roaming can rack up some pretty big bills pretty quickly, so you may want to consider getting a local SIM card and using that phone plan for internet while you travel. This way you can stay connected with your friends and family back home without worrying about international roaming charges. And finally, number 21, the one thing you cannot afford to do when traveling on a budget in retirement is get sick. So make sure your trip doesn't end up in a disaster by getting travel insurance and protect yourself from cancellations or illness while you're on vacation. While it is an extra cost, it may be one that's worth it, especially when you consider the multitude of flight cancellations and delays across all airlines and all locations on any given day. So there you have our 21 tips for retirement travel on a budget. You can still enjoy travel on a budget with plenty of activities and adventures without having to stress too much about costs if you plan ahead of time and put in that little bit of extra effort. It's not always necessary to have a huge traveling budget, nor does it have to be about scrimping and saving every penny. May you have all the fun on your travels, enjoy experiences with friends and family, and create memories that will last a lifetime. If you use any of our tips, or if you got any other tricks or hacks that have helped you save money on your journeys, share with us in the comments and support this community of older adults. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It helps us do our job better of helping older adults live their best retirement life. So thank you for being here, and I'll see you in the next video.